Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we are looking at a vintage copy of TSR's Dawn Patrol. Now it says role-playing in World War I air combat. It's not really role-playing, it's a board game. But TSR had these weird efforts at like wargaming, and this is one of them. It's for 2 or more players ages 12 and up. As I recall, it takes about an hour to play this one. Let's see if it says on here. Fight in the Skies is a trademark owned by TSR, apparently. This was TSR product number 7008. Yeah, it doesn't give an estimate. But you get dice, a rule book, various charts, full color game board, specifications for individual aircraft, and over 100 colorful die cut aircraft counters. Now, I don't remember if this one's complete, but it should be. So let's check it out here. Alright, so here's our tokens. We'll zoom in on those in a minute. Okay, this one is missing the cards. Unless they're still in the... Oh, they are still in the book. Alright, cool. Wow, that's impressive. Alright. So, one of the tricks they would pull back in the old days... This one came out in the early 80s. Let's see, this would have been 1982. They would take the rule book, and in the center, they would staple all these pieces that you would have to pull out. So like the aircraft mission log, all the way through here. And then, oh look, cards you could cut up. So your cards are actually part of the rule book, which is incredibly frustrating and a little insulting because they make it look like it's its own thing. It's not. It's part of the book. So the tokens were actually just cardstock sheets that you would cut up to make these. And somebody's already done that. I don't remember if this is my original set or one of the later ones. I think this is a later one I picked up. I think I gave somebody my copy and then later on wanted another one. But the book here is in really nice shape. So we're lucky enough that this one's in good condition. Here's like the random aircraft chart, and then you have like each different vehicle with its stats. So you could have specifically different aircraft and the different ways they would bank and loop around. It was all charted out in the rules, and it was fairly complex. This was not a very simple game, in my opinion. I believe they said that this is for ages 12 and up, but I think the average 12-year-old nowadays probably would have very little interest in a game this complicated. Unless they're really into math or war games. In that case, their parents probably play war games, but the simulation of actual flight is generally more video game oriented now, and that's what kids would be more into as opposed to trying to do it on a map. So like these charts and stuff, they would take one look at it and have zero interest in most cases. But I liked this game. I was always terrible at it though. I have a really bad habit of that, picking games that I have fun playing, but I never win. I don't think I ever won a single game of this, ever. But I had a lot of fun trying and getting shot down by various people that would then claim to be the Red Baron. But a lot of the rule book is these cards. See, these are maneuver cards, and they do things like loop, circle, tailspin, barrel roll, falling leaf, split S. A lot of stuff that, some of which are still done today. Some of these are probably would be considered really ridiculous to do now with modern vehicles, especially jets. So you have like your engine charts, critical hit tables, all that is part of the main rulebook that would probably be Like you'd cut these out and then cut them up, and some of these other pages you'd cut out too. Combat table, that sort of thing. So the way this was played was pretty cool. It was fairly complicated, like I said, or at least by today's standards it would probably be considered overly complicated. But it did get down to like where it hit and specific actions that would happen after that. So I really enjoyed this game. Let me get this put away and we'll take a look at the map. The old TSR stuff, they were trying to compete with Avalon Hill in a lot of ways. And Avalon Hill couldn't keep up with the role-playing aspect, but on the wargame front, they usually crushed them. Now, if you look at this, this is almost the size of a sheet of paper, almost. And it's 3 long by 4 wide. So it does take up a considerable amount of space. The detailing doesn't have to be particularly great, but it is pretty colorful, and they do a fairly decent job of simulating an overhead view. And if you look at the corner, there's a little airplane pointing north. And it's got like some railroad tracks and stuff. Nothing too complicated. You know, it's just something to look at. And it beats just a normal grid map with no scenery. But the paper quality was pretty solid. It's nice thick paper, that heavy stock paper that I really wish, if game developers are going to make maps now, they should make them like this quality, because the glossy stuff they use is so thin that it rips really easily. And you see that with just about every playmat that's out there that comes with a CCG, or even that Walking Dead All Out War had a real thin map that if you didn't put some kind of plexiglass or lamination on it, it's going to get destroyed after 2 battles just by accident, just by folding. And as you can see, you should be able to see this on the, there is perforation here where the fold is, because the way this is folded over time wears out these intersection areas where different parts of the map come together. Some of these are still in good shape, others are not. And I don't think this was folded properly to begin with when it was put away the last time. So, yeah, it wasn't. But not much I could do about that now. So that's the map. Now I'll zoom in and we'll take a look at these tokens. Okay, let's look at these. Now there's supposed to be 100 of these. Oh, some of these aren't. These were perforated, huh? Alright, so these were all on one big sheet together at one point. All the white ones on one page, all the other ones on another. This must be my other copy. My replacement copy. Because I know I gave somebody a copy of it. I might have even had more than 2 of these at one point. But at any rate, this is kind of what you would get. Some of these aren't fully out, but the cardboard is really just kind of disposable card stock. It's not particularly thick. It would hold up over time, but it would be easy to accidentally crumple one. If you got it wet, it's going to be ruined. And having 100 of them, it's going to be about impossible to really get an idea if they're all there or not. You're just going to have to hope that most of them are, and kind of keep an eye out for the ones that you're missing, or find another copy that has all the tokens but not something else. The main thing I would be worried about is the map. You can use a representation for the tokens, so that's not as big of a deal. Like if somebody's got a copy but they don't have the map, you're gonna have to get some hexagonal or grid pattern to supplement for it, which they make those, so that's not as huge of a deal. It's just a pain. There are anti-aircraft guns as well. So yeah, there's quite a few of these. Like I said, 100 planes in tokens, I should say, total. A lot of anti-aircraft, A lot of different types. It does simulate World War I in a lot of ways. This is widely regarded as a classic from TSR by a lot of old timers. A lot of them didn't like it too, but I think it had more fans than not. Oh, here's a balloon. So yeah, it definitely has a strong following. It didn't stay in print real long. Like the cover art says 1980, but this version is 1982. I think there was an earlier one from 80, but I'm not 100% on that. I know there was a prior edition to this set, but I think it looked very, very similar. So yeah, it's got a strong following, or it did anyway. I'm sure a lot of younger people have never heard of this, but if you like war games, this was a fun one, and it was hard because World War I planes, well, they were not jet fighters. So it was definitely more of dogfighting, and if you got the upper hand on someone, you could really ruin their day. But finding this complete with at least most of the ships and the balloons and the anti-aircraft guns is going to be a little difficult, and it'll probably be fairly expensive. I've seen this game go for upwards of 40 or 50 bucks if it's complete. Thankfully, mine is complete. You're going to want to make sure those cards are in the book, or if they were cut out, that they're with the book, because those are important, and because you can't play without them. But that is what is inside TSR's classic Dawn Patrol. From TSR, of course. It's for 2 or more players, ages 12 and up. I think younger people today are going to have a little bit difficulty with it. It is not a real easy game, and most kids aren't used to playing these type of games anymore. But that'll do it for this episode. We've seen what's in the box, and you'll know what to look for if you need to. And in the meantime, hopefully you'll come back and join us, but that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel, and I hope to see you next time on What's Inside.